Hi everyone, Scott Weaver with Air Gunner Reviews. So I've had a lot of people ask me about these two rifles. This one of course is the Hatsan Bullboss, and this one over here is the Kral Puncher Breaker Silent. And a lot of people ask me which one do I like better, which one do I prefer. So I'm trying to give you guys a little idea about both of these guns and how they're different, and just so you can make an informed decision. So as you can see, there's a big height difference here. This one right here, the Hatsan Bullboss, is 37 inches long, and the Puncher Breaker is only 30 inches. There's a 6-inch difference in the height of it, so the Kral is definitely a lot more compact in that area. And then the second thing would be the weight. With the Hatsan has this red dot scope. This is a UTG scope, and it probably only weighs maybe about 12 ounces. So with this scope here, we're getting 10.5 pounds. Well, actually 10 pounds 5 ounces, I should say. That's the exact weight with this on here. And then the Puncher Breaker has also UTG, and this is the Bug Buster scope on that with the high mounts. They both have the high mounts on them. And this comes in at just 9 pounds. So you're looking at about a pound, 1.5 ounces difference in weight. Now, if you look up the specs on the Hatsan and the Kral, both of them lie about the weight of the gun. I don't know if it's because both of these cylinders are filled, but they say that this comes in at 8.6 pounds. I can't see that. It's got to be at least a pound more. It's got to come in at least 9.5 pounds roughly. And this one they say 7.4 pounds. With the scope it's 9 pounds, and that maybe seems a little off to me. But anyway, that's what those are. As far as loudness, they measure, now I don't have, all I'm using is my app for my phone. But this came in at 84 dB. That one came in at 83 dB. I'm not going to say that the accuracy using my cell phone is going to be compared to using an actual meter, but it does tell you that they're both about the same level, regardless to whether it's 84, 83, or less. They're both comparable in the sound level. The next thing up is the size of the cylinders. Interesting enough, the cylinder on the Hatsan is 230 cc, but the Kral is 280 cc. So you're getting a little bit more volume air. However, I'm going to talk about that a little bit down the line about the shot count on it. Next up, let's see. Well, let's go over the safety. This has an automatic safety when you engage it, you side lever, and it does have the safety right here. Now, I'm not a big one for automatic safeties, but at least if you're going to have an automatic safety, have it by the trigger. So I do like that idea that when you cock it, the safety is right here. Versus the Kral Puncher, which is not an automatic safety. So once you cock it, you're ready to go. But I do kind of like this little lever. It's quick, it's easy to use. But again, this does not have the automatic safety. So that's a little difference there. Going down the line, loading and unloading the gun. Well, first we're going to start with the difference between the rotaries. This one, of course, you're just going to load straight up. I find that a lot easier than having to load one of these guys where you have to turn the dial to load it. So I find loading it is a little bit better with the Bullboss. However, the more difficult part about this is on the fly when you're loading and unloading, because you have this little lever right here that you've got to pull and lift up right here, and then you've got to cock it and put your cylinder in, put the lever down until it clicks. Sometimes it doesn't quite, got to play with it to get it in there right. Once you do, you're good to go. However, when you want to pull it back out, let's see if I can get that thing in there. There we go. Now it's locked in. Okay, so now we're ready to go. But when you have to change it, you got to be ready for this, because it'll just fall right out. So if you're doing it on the fly, and that can be a little bit difficult. Anyhow. With this, it does make loading a little bit easier, because you can just cock it and throw your magazine in it. And so I do find it just a little bit easier, usually, to load it. And then to take it out, you don't have to worry about that either. You can just slide it right back out, and you're good to go. So the ease of actually loading and unloading, I will find that the Kral is a little easier, but to load these, of course, this is a little bit more of a pain to do so. So covering that, of course, this one here, the Hatsan, has the sling swivels on it, which makes it nice. It'll free up your hands, where there's really no place to put one on the puncher Kral. And the next thing, I'm going to talk about the trigger pull. I've lightened up the Kral as much as I possibly can, and I still find it to be just a little bit too harsh for me, especially if you're shooting, even if you're shooting paper and you want that nice accurate shot. You really have to concentrate on that second stage, because it's still a little heavy, and you just have that tendency to jerk it a little bit more. Maybe some of you guys will disagree with that, I don't know. But I do find that the Bullboss definitely has a better trigger to it, at least for myself. I think it's a little smoother. The second stage is just a little lighter, and I didn't even adjust this at all. I just found it fine from my liking. If I adjusted it, I could even make it a lot lighter. I just don't need to, I don't believe. As far as, well, let's go down to the accessory rails, because they both have accessory rails. And this one has what I call a true accessory rail, because it'll take, it'll take your bipod fine, or if you want to add a light to it, you can add your light. Let me show you the difference here. When you add your light on here, down here a little bit here. I'm just going to show you. Sorry, need two hands. Okay, so when if you're putting a light or a red dot, you put that on, and it is firm on here. You don't have to worry about it. But the accessory rail on the Kral puncher, there's two things with it. One, it has this screw, and you put it on, and this thing just slides all over the place. It doesn't stay very well. I ended up grinding the screw, and I put it back in, and it still was slippery and moved around. I ended up taking some epoxy glue and gluing it in, and then sticking my screw, or my bolt I should call it, back in here, and now it's firm. But other than that, I couldn't get it to stop sliding. Then if you want to add like a light, these won't work, because it's a little small. So it's, so just be aware of that. You're going to have to get one that has more like an adjustable quick release on it, where you can adjust it, and then you should be all right. But even when I put this bipod on, I have to adjust it a little smaller on this one than I would have to on the Hatsan. It's not a deal breaker by any means. It's just when we're comparing them, that's something that you want to consider. As far as the cocking effort and the cocking mechanism, of course, with any of these little guys like this, most of them are set back here. So as you have this up and you're cocking it, you can't look through here and cock it at the same time because it'll hit your face. So for follow-up shots, you have to lower it, cock the rifle, then bring it back up. And so for that, I would have to say that there's definitely an advantage with the Hatsan because it's out front. You can keep it, and it's still, even though it's a heavy gun, back to the shoulder, you can still shoulder it good. You can still cock it and shoot. So as far as follow-up shots, as long as you remember to take the safety off, since it is an automatic safety, definitely goes towards the Bullboss in that respect. And then we're going to talk about the power of both of them. And I think you'll find almost all the specs also say that they're very close in power. The Hatsan Bullboss is about 100 feet per second faster, so it does have that little bit extra oomph to it, and you'll find that with that, of course, a little bit more range. So for that, definitely has it over the puncher. And shot count. Now, based on what I've found, this is a two-part deal with it. I've found that I like to use the exact jumbo heavies for the Hatsan. And I get very consistent. This is a 10-round magazine. And at 25 yards, 2 magazines, I'm hitting the bullseye really, really good. At 50 yards, I'm still doing probably about a 3/4 inch spread, center to center, which isn't bad. And it really is very consistent for 2, and I don't usually go any farther past 2. I find that they stop dropping a little bit past that. And some people might say you can get three magazines worth. I only go 2 and then I fill it back up. The same holds true almost with the puncher breaker. The puncher breaker is a 12-shot magazine, but I find when I use the jumbo heavies at 25 yards, the first magazine hits it right on the nose, exactly, and it's right on the bullseye every time. But when you load the second one in, and I know these are unregulated, at least I know this one is, when I load the second magazine, then I can start to see it drop below the bullseye. And by the time I unload the last pellet, I would say it's definitely below, like maybe a 1/2 inch below, and because it's unregulated. However, just a little change up. These jumbo heavies are 18.13 grain. I backed it down to the Diablo Fields, and these are just 16 grains. You wouldn't think it would make a big difference, but it does. If you use these that are just a little lighter, you're going to get consistent 2 rotary clips or 24 rounds hitting the bullseye at 25 yards, pretty much so every time. So with that being said, the Hatsan, you can actually use a little bigger pellet and you get 20 full shots out of it. Very consistent. With the puncher, this is just myself. I found that if you use a little lighter, you'll get 24 shots with it. Good or bad, I can't tell you, but that's what it is. But I also find that a little strange in some ways because the Hatsan here is a 230cc air cylinder, and this is a 280cc, so you would think that this would be able to keep up a little bit better with the shot count and consistency, even if I was using the exact jumbo heavies. But it doesn't. Accuracy out to 50 yards, I tell you, it's a draw. They're both great. So that's definitely a draw. And let's see what else we have here. Of course, the Hatsan Bullboss, you can remove the cylinder with it. You can have a spare one if you like. And so that's always a plus with it. And shall I come to the price? They're both about the same. Both $4.99. And so for that, there's no difference there. When I bought it, I think it was $6.50. So if you ask me which one that I like better, which one I would favor, and although they're both different and I like them both, I have to say that the Puncher Breaker is just it's a little lighter, it's a little quicker to grab because it's shorter. The accuracy's there. The power, although it doesn't quite have as much power as the Hatsan, I do find that I probably end up shooting this more just because I feel it's a little bit more enjoyable because it's a big difference in weight, let's put it that way. However, if there's a time when I need longer range and just a little bit more power, we'll go for the Bullboss. So there you have it. There's a quick assessment, I would say, of the two as how I feel about them. But they're both have proven to be pretty good. I will recommend that if you get either one of those, that I would get the UTG scope. Now I've got it looks nice. You need the high mounts, and I would also go with the UTG quick release. And you also notice that they have the 6 Allen head bolts in there, opposed to just one or two in each of them. I like it. The power goes down to like 3 yards up to almost anything. It's nice and clear. They're fairly light scopes, and I've got this one. I think this is the original Bug Buster on there, and I'll show you another rifle. This is actually my 22. This was a Ruger, and it is a 22. And this one also, this has the little newer version that I got from Pyramid Air. And this is I guess this is the Bug Buster also, with the flip-up lens and everything. The high mounts again. That's what I'd recommend because they're great. They're great little scopes. And you can get right into them when you're shooting, get up nice and close. And so I'd recommend, if you're going to go for a scope, that's what I'd go for, either one of those two guns. I have a red dot on that because I just wanted something for quick acquisition. I could use the red dot. And so anyway, that's my comparison. Like it, hate it, that's what it is. Hopefully you have enough light in here. I know I had some complaints about lights in a couple of my other videos, so I'm trying to keep it nice and bright. Anyway, have a great day. I hope that helps you decide which one to get. Take care.